Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chairperson, Mr. Nitin Desai, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Maldives, I express our sincere gratitude to the Government of India and Terry for the splendid arrangements made for this important meeting and for the hospitality extended to our team. As always, the hospitality is impeccable. Thank you. Distinguished delegates, the whole world is facing tremendous challenges in pursuit of sustainable development, while climate change is fast emerging as a global threat. But the many pledges to provide resources to implement plans to address climate change and sustainable development so far remain unrealized. While we wait skeptical and undecided, we are witnessing a change in the world that was neither foreseen nor anticipated by our forefathers. Growing energy demands from rapidly multiplying populations expected to hit 9 billion mark by 2050 will soon outshine the fast depleting fossil fuels and further endangering security in every front, including energy, water, and food security for hundreds of millions of people and undermining the most fundamental foundation of local, national, and global safety, stability, and our security. The inherently linked yet limited resources and food, water cannot be ignored when frequent disasters and extreme events are becoming a common phenomenon to us. Provision of affordable food requires dependable, inexpensive water and energy. Increasing dependence on unsustainable fossil fuel-based energy increases global warming and threatens climate security, which in turn affects our biodiversity, food and water security through droughts and floods and extreme weather events. This will create large-scale environmental and social changes, social damage, and hinder economic development. And that is happening to us here in Maldives. Recent extreme weather events such as Superstorm Sandy have shown us that environmental problems do not stop at national borders, and that every single country on this planet is threatened either through their ecosystems, prosperity, or livelihood. Assumptions that countries are safe from climate change because of their geography or terrain or because of their economic might is a misnomer. Today's fate of the most vulnerable like us will be the fate of the world tomorrow and the image of our future. I urge all of us to embrace the philosophy of common but differentiated responsibilities, change your own priorities, and assist the vulnerable like us, but with less stifling rules and trapping bureaucracies that will allow us to utilize the assistance to combat climate change. In Maldives, we are aware that in order to create sustainable solutions to the most urgent challenges of climate change and minimize conflicts and competition, we need to enhance collaboration across sectors and geographies. Business leaders, policymakers, legislators, academics, and other experts must begin to share their research and knowledge and form cross-sectoral partnerships, cross-cultural associations, and cross-national collaborations and global networking to drive integrated planning and policy interaction. Through various policies, we must devise measures to enhance resource efficiency and reduce waste, such as losses along the food and energy production, distribution, and consumption chains. As the population becomes more affluent, increasing demands must also be effectively managed through consumer education and behavior modification in relation to resource use. It must also be understood by all that every region has its own unique challenges, and one-size-fits-all solution would not address the multifaceted challenge of safeguarding our limited resources. Furthermore, as the world becomes more networked, the impacts of climate change in one country or region will affect the prosperity and security of others around the world. That is a fact. This is truer in case of resource-poor and geographically challenged countries like Maldives, who is confronted on a daily basis with the direct results of the current unsustainable global economic system. While 90% of our food requirements are imported from regional countries, any impact on the region has devastating effects on us. A large chunk of our GDP is spent on fuel subsidies and over 22% on import of fossil fuel-based products. Limited local production and water security is further affected negatively by increased groundwater salinity and impurity from low-lying, poorly constructed septic tanks and extreme weather events. Last year alone, we spent over 400 million on addressing water shortage, both during droughts and during floods. Being heavily dependent on imports, any impact on regional countries bring about devastating negative impacts on us. Distinguished participants, Being among the least resilient to heightened extreme weather events, recent warnings from IPCC and International Energy Agency about greenhouse gas emission being at its highest in history frighten us to our core. Predictions that the world is headed for irreversible climate change in 5 years if we continue the current trend of emissions sends Maldives racing to maintain a strong foothold among those in the front line to combat climate change. As responsible citizens of the world, it is our duty to facilitate the needed energy to meet the growing demands, but in a sustainable form and not at the expense of our planet and our very existence. Despite being among the least contributors to climate change issue, being among the most impacted, Maldives is taking very bold steps towards energy transition. Our ambitious 5-year renewable energy plan aims to reduce diesel consumption by 23 million liters and save roughly about $22 million annually in diesel imports. Most importantly, it would reduce our carbon dioxide emissions by roughly 66,000 tons a year, bringing us closer to the government's plan to make Maldives a carbon neutral by the year 2020. Maldives as a whole country aims to become a biosphere reserve within the next 5 years. One atoll out of the existing 20 atolls have already been declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and is now reputed as the best managed example of sustainable development through a biosphere concept. So we have hope that the whole country could be sustained this way. It is ironical that nations like Maldives, though dedicated and vocal in our pursuit to save our environment, are helpless bystanders, no matter what we do, while our fate is being dictated not by us, but by the actions of other nations who are selectively blind to the threat they impose on us. They who are still skeptical and undecided must realize at this juncture that the battle cannot be won by us alone. We need strong leadership, political commitment, and making difficult choices. But if we take the forecasts of climate research seriously, the next years are crucial and we must take action. As we leave yet again another summit, I hope this summit will prompt us towards collective international commitment, dedication, and steadfast efforts to place climate protection and energy agenda consistently at the forefront of our policy making and systematically orient all policy fields towards a green global economy. Climate change is a universal problem, ladies and gentlemen, and that requires a universal solution, which is all-inclusive and gender-sensitive. As we are all on the same sinking boat together, it is a concern we must address with a unified voice. Please bear in mind that our generation's actions on climate change now will determine as never before the environmental legacy we pass to our children. Before I conclude my remarks, I see it as my duty to thank Dr. Pachauri, who has painstakingly fought our battles for us. On behalf of Maldives, let me extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Pachauri. Let me also thank Indian government as well as the many multinational bilateral partners and institutions that I see over here for their continuous collaboration to assist Maldives. We look forward to further our association in search of common grounds towards sustainable development. Thank you very much.